Fast forward, ini como channel so ha age politics abadi. Podcast so start trend ya unia make weights and EGB exxon woni dim ne braksi mu yambo ingura political highway sim ejedem enyak sepo to akra Solomon Obsu aso ye na unia yambo ewra ene due na obi bi nsem bi so efa eye government properties lands unia umu nana dankwa ado eba ye abemunu umu eton ema umankasa government machineries functionaries unia wajemre na o probe into this scandal ehun ebehia se ejemre na yedi exo eni dim ya hobraksi mu mesok se yembo gransim nim na yemfam aba age politics abani ayano ha notification be so but say osan eja commenting so account
taxes. Then there has been issue of land ownership. I mean, the way and manner various presidents of this country has been abusing public lands is mind-boggling. Because your constitution under Article 257 clearly vests the lands that we have in the president. One is supposed to be on behalf of the people. They see it as their own personal property. When they read the constitution, they end at vested in the president and leave the rest. So that, but for the vigilance of the Ghanaian, the small forest we have at your back here, Achimota Forest, would have been gone. You know already that land they have shared. They bought a year what? 144. They have shared the lands over there, and they are waiting for the first person to enter so that all of them will follow. But I want to assure those that have bought that land that that will be the last freedom of this country, the second independence. You cannot come into government with a view to serving the people of this country and begin to sell everything. Look, there is a list. My brother Derek AJ has always been coming here talking about his lands as cantonments here and there. Go and see how lands were sold to government functionaries, to judges, that they bought it as low as 7,000 Ghana cedis. Which land in cantonments will go for 7,000 cedis in these 2000s and 90s? Hey! And they will never sell that land to Shana Nombo. They will sell it to Mr. Pratt. They will sell it to Mujib. Have you bought some?
No, I don't even have.
But interestingly, then they sell it to their cronies, judges. And you think we still must do that? No way. Something has to happen with it. So I agree with the Constitutional Review Committee on this subject matter that yes, something ought to be done about it. But you see, in all this, ultimately, and just to wrap up, what we must also focus on is to be getting good people leading this country. You see, you can have all these beautiful laws, but if the implementers by themselves are very bad, are extremely bad, are corrupt in nature, they will still find ways and means within the law to exploit all of us. And for me, that is where our focus in terms of building strong institutions that will be able to assure us of very salient men and women who will lead this country should be focused on. I will end here and give my brothers the opportunity to also continue. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And if you go to page, is that 34 of the report, that's where you see the Electoral Commission, the proposal of the Electoral Commission. So the committee recommends an amendment to Article 43 to provide that the EC shall comprise the commissioner and 2 deputy commissioners.
Absolutely. That is not serving the interests of this country very well, would be defeated. And that we will begin to have representation from smaller parties in court, be in parliament, and add their rich ideas, values, principles to our democratic dispensation. So I believe that recommendation that they provided, they said that a study group has to be formed. I'm not too sure that that study group has been formed, so that they form it early enough to solicit views as to how to make it workable. So I agree with them. Now, there is also an interesting development in terms of the role that they expect the National Planning Development Commission to be playing in terms of our developmental agenda. Now, they make the proposal that the Constitution must be reviewed so that any bill that goes to Parliament must have a memorandum from the National Planning Commission indicating that indeed that bill aligns with the national agenda of the country. I think it's something that we have to consider. But what has been happening in this country is that we seem not to have a national agenda. And so a political party, by extension, someone wins an election, he comes, and just like it happened with the SS system, one government came, he said, look, 3 years was not good, it was pushed to 4 years. Another person came and said, look, 4 years was too much, let's bring it back to 3 years. So we were not having a common position on a very simple matter as to the length of time that someone must spend at the secondary level. So this time around, they are proposing, which I also share in their view, that our bills sent to Parliament must align with the national planning, the national development planning, to ensure consistency. And I believe that is something that we need to take a serious look at it. Now, they also make proposals, if you go to our Electoral Commission, that instead of having about the commissioner plus 2 deputies and 4 others, they believe that, look, the 4 others is not good enough. I mean, the commissioner and 2 deputies are enough to be able to deal with the myriad of problems I have. And I agree with them. You see, one of the problems, and you and I understand that election 2024, we were saved by some grace. It was not as though the Electoral Commission did a yeoman job, a beautiful job that assured us of the peace that we are enjoying today. People were ready to pounce. I saw what happened at the Okakwe Central, Patrick Boame's place. That was the first time I saw that a group of people were ready to fight. Why? Because right from the processes leading to the selection of commissioners of that commission, that body, the element of mistrust has been, as it were, introduced into the system. I mean, Senator, why would anybody sit down, and here I'm talking about the president of the day, Nana Akufo-Addo, sit down and look straight into the faces of the Ghanaian and say that a body that is supposed to be neutral, an independent body like the Electoral Commission of this country, you would nominate as a commissioner to that body a known NPP communicator. I'm sure you have heard of Dr. Peter Piahin. It happened in this country. At least when I was in the NPP, I was communicating with Peter Piahin. Now you want to assure the public that everything that commission will be doing will be fair to all sides. Then to create the impression in the minds of the people that it's truly an independent body, you must be the last person to go and nominate someone who is a known member of your political party. And as if that was not enough, remember Hajia Salima Tijani. I mean, obviously the wife of TB Damba, who was Ghana's former ambassador to Saudi Arabia, a member of the New Patriotic. You can't send that person to the Electoral Commission and still want the people of this country to believe that indeed it's a neutral body. Especially coming from the back of the history of the Electoral Commission itself, when before the days of 1968 the Ministry of Local Government was responsible for our elections, and which was one of the reasons why the coup makers cited as being the reason for the overthrow of Dr. Kwame Nkrumah. And to that extent, we needed to establish an independent body to organize free, fair, and honest elections in this country. So the proposal that they are making is to settle on a commissioner, 2 deputies, and make sure that they are truly independent. Indeed, this time around, instead of the president being the one that will be nominating the electoral commissioner, they want the Council of State to take that lead and do the search for this country. And so by so doing, they are also proposing that the composition of the Council of State be moved from the current 31 to 33, with government not, or the president not having the opportunity to appoint more, so that if you really want the citizens of this country to believe in the new system, then it means the Council of State must be truly an independent body that is capable of helping to settle on individuals that will occupy independent constitutional bodies as being truly independent. So I agree with that, but that will, like I said, would depend entirely on the composition of the Council of State. And talking about the Council of State, Senator, that brings to fore the fallout that we have experienced in the last couple of days, that the former Chief Justice, her ladyship, Madam Sophia Kufu, as a matter of fact, is now a known fact that she has tendered her resignation to the president and by extension this administration. And we are told that the resignation took place somewhere September of last year. It's a bit of a challenge, especially as to why the announcement to that effect did not come early. But let me say that the former Chief Justice saw the need to resign, because if she had not done so, I was going to petition for her to be booted out of the Council of State. I mean, this subject matter cannot pass without Ghanaians being reminded of her actions and inactions during the removal process of Madam RៈIείμ Tokono. I mean, what the former CJ did cannot be contained in any serious corporate environment. That as a member of the Council of State that is responsible for constitutional, legal, and petitions of the Council of State, that you are the person, the first point of call when petitions are sent to the Council of State, you review it, you share with your colleagues, and have discussions on the subject matter, and by extension advise the president. Will do all these, and at the end of the day turn your back and say that the petitioner, you will go and side with the petitioner and be a witness to that petitioner. I mean, who does that? Especially when there was voting, when voting took place, one person abstained. What's the word for that? Abstained. We don't know whether it was even you that abstained. Now, granted that it was even Sophia Kufu that abstained. I mean, Senator, abstinence does not mean that you do not agree with what took place. It's one of two. Either you agreed but you did not want to offend the person that was affected in that occasion. Remember, the person that was on trial, or that who had been petitioned to be removed, was the Chief Justice. And she, as a former Chief Justice, maybe thought that, look, yes, I agree with the petition, but to go and vote that it will be removed would also be problematic, so let me abstain. Again, the person that was being petitioned to be removed was a woman, or is a woman. She is also a woman. So the affirmative action also takes place there. Again, both of them attended the same old school. That will also create problems. So I'm abstaining. Because if indeed the former Chief Justice believed that what was going on was wrong, I believe that she would have been better served the people of this country by voting no to it, so that posterity will record that and say that when it came to matters to remove the former Chief Justice Tokono, there was a member of the Council of State by name Sophia Kufu who stood up and said no. That did not happen. Then they make a very interesting recommendation to do with dual citizenship and whether or not they would be in a position, or they be allowed to occupy public positions that are barred under the Constitution currently. And this is where, Senator, initially I was for this idea, but recent developments, Senator, is giving me a totally different view, and I believe that the Constitutional Review Committee must, in as much as they want to implement this, and those that will be implemented this proposal, they must take a second look at it. And I'm saying this because of what our brother, our father, our grandfather, a staunch member of the New Patriotic Party and the former finance minister, Ken Ofori-Atta, has done in recent months. We were sitting on somewhere when the former finance minister, Ken Ofori-Atta, sought permission from the former chief of staff, Madam Osei. Now, on that occasion, the former finance minister asked permission to go and seek medical attention. So, in all intents and purposes, he was traveling to go and have some medical checkup. So later on, we were told by the Immigration and Custom Enforcement of the United States that they have arrested the former finance minister in his cozy apartment in Washington and thrown into a
Considering we'll be coming to that topic next.
I am okay. So it's part of the topic.
Your
yes.
lengthy background, that's why.
Yeah. So let me just scratch on the face. But what I'm saying is that recommendation to allow people with dual citizenship must come with some caveat. What Ken Ofori-Atta in mind is very, very important. Now, they also make recommendation regarding the issue of how to treat children, especially those that are intersex. You see, Sana, the issue of LGBTQ and its impact and its other adjoining problems, I find that provision in terms of the human rights of children and how it has been couched, the recommendations that have been couched under this by this constitutional review, very tricky. And I believe that implementers must take a critical look at that provision. Now, they also make mention of the fact that certain presidents must be paying taxes on their salaries, allowances that they receive. And I believe that is long overdue. Hey, we are all in the country paying taxes. And you are the one, together with your cabinet, that have been introducing all the taxes that we pay. Why must you be the one introducing taxes and you will not be paying some? So that if the tax is sweet, all of us will enjoy it. If it is bitter, all of us would enjoy it. So once again, I believe strongly that presidents, as citizens of this country, we call them the number one gentleman. The number one gentleman or the number one lady must be lady enough, must be gentle enough to make sure that he or she contributes his or her quota to national development by way of paying.
We ain't some of the team course or channel, so I'm not so your bread as an so wide in the Dunia.